Man, what's going on? Damn, I was supposed to eat some good ass food, man. I even waited and everything. Was that one of my man? Then the plans kind of got all messed up, so now I got nothing to eat, and I gotta go grab some nutrition. So while I'm doing that, we're gonna hit up another video. So Shawn Porter's been talking some weird stuff lately, and you can kind of see in the last year or so, almost like a transformation when it comes to him. The things that he says, the stances that he takes, it's just weird. You know, it's kind of Tim Bradley-ish, I guess you could say. You know, and then when you put in things like the bright green suits and the bright blue suits, and he's sitting over there just always has that big smile on his face, trying to be, I guess, look as timid as he can, not trying to not look as intimidating in any way. It's almost like he's trying to make certain people that are around him feel comfortable. And I don't know. It's a vibe that I just comes from him that I don't like. And boxer, he's awesome. He's a great boxer, especially when he goes in there and he goes all out and he puts it all out on the line. And especially like the hardcore fans have rolled with him for a long time, where they didn't care if he won, they didn't care if he lost, they still would be there and they would support him. I would say most of his fans are hardcore boxing fans. And I think you saw that when he upset the hardcore boxing fans, when he didn't fight Earl Spence and decided that he was going to take on Ugas instead. And we saw how empty that arena was. You know what I mean? But when he fought Earl Spence next, he got right back into the good graces, of those hardcore fans, which I believe that's his main fan base. But he's just, unfortunately, I think he's one of those guys where we're gonna look back and love the career that he had, but life after boxing, when he's commentating, I believe he's gonna be commentating. That's gonna be the route that's gonna take. I think he's gonna end up rubbing a lot of people who were his fans the wrong way, and he's gonna end up pushing a lot of them away from him. I think that's pretty much going to be how his career after boxing is going to go. And we've seen a lot of people do that. Thank God some of them, stayed the way that they should be, like Roy Jones. Those are far and few in between. Most of the time they go into this other weirdo stuff where you just sit there kind of shaking your head. But so he made a comment. And his comment was that he would have rather had Manny Pacquiao's career than Floyd Mayweather's career, which I don't understand. That's just, to me, it's just a weird comment. Like, why exactly would you? Because they said, oh, he's been in more wars, more action-packed fights. If you've been in a lot of wars in your career, you've had a lot of issues in your career. Being in wars is not a cool thing. When you're in a lot of wars, you're basically putting yourself into a space where life after boxing is going to be very difficult. Where you're not going to have all your faculties in your 50s and in your 60s. If you make it to your 60s, you might not. You're going to have a lot of major problems if you've been in wars. The goal is to win, not to get into wars. And even when you look at the careers, you look early on in Floyd Mayweather's career. Floyd Mayweather's over there taking on champions, taking on top 10 pound-for-pound fighters early in his career and putting him down, stopping them, knocking them out. That's what he was doing early on in his career. Then the second half of his career, you see Floyd Mayweather taking on guys who are coming off their biggest wins against champions, you know what I mean? Top 10 pound-for-pound fighters coming off their biggest wins and beating them. That's what Floyd Mayweather was doing. Whatever way it took. Sometimes with Madonna, with Miguel Cotto, it was tough fights where he pushed the pace where, you know what I mean? Whoever had the biggest will was going to win. And that was Floyd Mayweather. Ricky Hatton, who pushed the pace. And he ended up stopping Ricky Hatton. And in fights where he could box and move, he boxed and he moved. He'll break you down, And it gives you the option. Do you want to lose 12 rounds like this? Or do you want to risk it all? And a lot of times, those fighters chose not to risk it all. Canelo Alvarez chose not to risk it all. Oscar De La Hoya chose not to risk it all. You know what I mean? There are a lot of fighters who chose, even Maidana in the second fight, chose not to risk it all. Marquez chose not to risk it all. You know? They all did. Cotto, when he got buzzed a couple of times, he backed off. He chose not to risk it all. You know, Shane Mosley tried when he started getting pummeled and smashed up. He chose not to risk it all. That's what Floyd Mayweather was doing. Manny Pacquiao, when he finally faced Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao was getting whitewashed. Manny Pacquiao could have pushed the pace. Manny Pacquiao could have did what he did in the Marquez fight where he had got knocked out. He chose not to risk it all. And the biggest thing to me with that whole thing of would rather have a Manny Pacquiao's career to me is business-wise, obviously Floyd Mayweather was way better than him. He wasn't getting pimped out like Manny Pacquiao was for all those years. Manny Pacquiao has hundreds of millions of dollars that should be in his bank account right now, but they weren't because they're in Bob Arum's bank account. And Michael Kahn's, his old whatever, advisor's bank accounts. You know what I mean? He got played and he got played bad. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened with him. But my biggest thing is that Floyd Mayweather was taking on guys in the second half of his career that Manny's praised so much for. He would take on guys coming off their biggest wins, and Manny Pacquiao would then take on them afterwards. A lot of those times. He beats Ricky Hatton when Ricky Hatton was undefeated, when Ricky Hatton was coming off his biggest win. That's when he took on Ricky Hatton. Then he took on Ricky Hatton afterwards. When Shane Mosley beat Margarito, Shane Mosley wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao, and he was willing to come all the way down to 142 pounds. They refused. They said no. You know what I'm saying? Freddie Roach said, no, we're not going to do that fight because Shane Mosley is just too good. And they chose not to do that fight. Floyd Mayweather took that fight. Even when it came to Ortiz, I remember people talking about, oh, is Manny Pacquiao going to take on Floyd? It's going to take on Ortiz because Floyd Mayweather is going to be too scared to do so. That was the talk. Because Floyd doesn't want to take on a young, hungry lion. That's what the talk was. That was what the talk was. But Floyd Mayweather ended up taking on that fight. You know, Floyd Mayweather jumped up, fought in a welterweight, 2 fights in the welterweight division against the top 2 guys in the welterweight division. And after that, in Baldomir and Zab Judah, they went straight up and took on Oscar De La Hoya, who was a champion, who was top 10 pound for pound at the time. First fight at 154 pounds, forced to use heavyweight gloves, and beat him. Manny Pacquiao fought him later on, and Manny Pacquiao brought him all the way down to 147 pounds. That's what he did. When he fought Miguel Cotto, he had Miguel Cotto in the rehydration clause. Floyd Mayweather fought Miguel Cotto all the way up to 154 pounds. And even in the second time that Manny Pacquiao actually was supposed to fight Miguel Cotto actually a second time instead of Floyd Mayweather, but he wouldn't come up to 154. He said he was trying to get Miguel Cotto to come back down to 47 pounds. Or to meet him like somewhere in the middle. He wasn't trying to do that. He wasn't trying to. Miguel Cotto said, yo, Floyd Mayweather, he's paying me right. He's meeting me all the way 154 pounds. There's no issues. I'm going to go do that instead. And he went and did that instead. Manny Pacquiao could have pushed the issue to fight Canelo Alvarez. He could have. He could have pushed the issue to fight Canelo Alvarez. You know what I mean? He could have put himself into a space where it's like, nah, don't fight him. Fight me. Fight me. We can do a 50-50 or whatever split he's giving you, I'll give you a higher split. He could have put it into a situation where, you know what I'm saying? Where it was like, okay, you know, even, you know, push the bidding up. It actually would have helped Canelo Alvarez up because Canelo Alvarez would have ended up making substantially more money in that fight. You know? He could have pushed for that fight. He didn't push for that fight. But Floyd Mayweather went and did that fight. And Floyd Mayweather went and dominated in his career. You know, so to say that you wouldn't want that career to me is just weird. You know what I mean? And my thing is, if supposedly that action, you're all about that action, boss, what was all that action when it came to Ugas then? Why didn't you push the issue when it came to Ugas? You know what I mean? Why didn't you do that? I don't know what it is. You pretty much, you know, you're basically someone whose career has been losing most of your biggest matches. When it came to Earl Spence, when it came to Kell Brooks, when it came to Keith Thurman, and you inched out a Danny Garcia win. You know, and you weren't out there knocking these dudes down, knocking them out, or anything like that either. So to me, that's just weird. You know, that you would somehow try to chastise a man's career who was able to make adjustments that you weren't able to make, and was able to dominate in those particular fights, and finding whatever way it took to win, whether it be boxing, whether it be moving, whether it be pushing the action. Because someone like Canelo Alvarez, he was pushing Canelo Alvarez back for 9 rounds. He was over there he's facing guys that are 15, 20 pounds bigger than him that he's facing, and doing these things. 15, 20 pounds bigger than him. And yes, Manny Pacquiao weighs more than Floyd Mayweather in fights. Manny Pacquiao's usually around 154 pounds or heavier during fights. Floyd Mayweather comes in about 147 or under. The highest he's weighed in the fight is 150. So, but hey, to each his own. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.